Our topic for today is breath work for reducing overwhelm. If you've been feeling a bit anxious lately or overwhelmed or just not sure what to feel or think about all of the things that are moving so rapidly in our world right now. A lot of change happening. Boy, politically, personally, so much going on right now. And it's hard to know what to feel, how to feel, or to even be present with so much that is moving so quickly. So we have a beautiful, beautiful, dear friend of mine from decades back, Widad, Camela Widad. She's going to lead us through some breath work today. And I'm telling you, I am like so front and center for this today. We met a few minutes before the call and I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're doing this today because I am very much in need myself. I got a lot going on, with everything going on in the world. And as if you've been here before recently, you know that I'm getting ready to launch a book and I've got the pre-launch jitters, the pre-launch, no, don't do it, and everything else. And if you've ever done such a thing where you're really putting your heart and soul out there and exposing yourself, you know that that can come up right before and or 15,000 times along the way. And I've got that going on today, so I am excited for Widad to lead us on this today. So welcome, Widad.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, beloveds. So, if you have not been here with me in the past, I think I've done one morning community conscious living presentation, but I'll just share really quickly with you. I am a performing songwriter. I got a degree in theater, and the sort of longing to create human connection was always there, but then I wanted to make sure that I was connecting really from a truer place in my heart. And so then along the way I started studying voice from a deeper level so that I could heal, and then I started to teach other people what I was learning. And what I found is that sometimes our throat and the connection to our spine, our vagus nerve, and the diaphragm muscle can be these like sort of hot spots where we can hold that anxiety, where we can hold or brace. This is a big one that happens in my vocal coaching practice. People are sort of bracing for the worst to happen. And when we're going through life with certain triggers that bring up moments in the past where we were bracing then or we're freezing up, breath work can be such a recentering practice. Sometimes I'll do the breath work combined with sound. So I'm just going to go with the flow today. I'm not sure if we'll be adding some sound, but along the way, starting off as a performing songwriter, I met a spiritual master from Jerusalem, and I studied with him for 15 years and really got a sense of getting into our center, getting into our deepest alignment. And I have found, being a voice teacher and a healer, that everything we do, even the song that someone might sing, is completely different when we're moving from the breath that anchors us and from the breath that allows us to stay in that alignment. So I've thought this would be a really great time to share with all of you the things that have helped me. And then along the way, my daughter, who is 21 now, I've sort of practiced as a mom with her, because kids will often experience moments of anxiety, and sort of like, I guess, refined the process with a human being who was growing up with so many moments of being triggered, and teaching her. Our phrase for this is to get back into your heart, or to check into your heart. And the breath work has a way of really kind of clearing the dock. This is what I think of as like clear the monkey mind, clear all the other stuff, so that we can get quiet enough in a state of receiving. So I'm going to guide all of us to ground. I'm going to guide us to do a little quick check-in, and then we'll go into the breath work. So that's what I'm here for you, beloveds. And then I think, Mester, is there going to be a time at the end if anybody has questions?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
And let me just say, I'm so glad that you said that about what you've done with your daughter, because that is one of the things that I'm really passionate about and that we focus a lot on in our weekly meditations is when we learn how we can then help use what we learn and really bring it in and embody it so that we can use it in mentoring and supporting and loving our younger generations and our children
Mm,
and grandchildren. And um, because they're the leaders of our future, and
right.
we need to do our best to leave them in the best possible place to carry things forward from what we've created here.
Yes, the other thing I want to really offer to the beloveds here today on the call is something, I learned from years of teaching that sometimes spirituality and consciousness can make us feel like we have to have our best day all the time, and it's just not real. That isn't the truth.
Hmm.
And so one of the things I've learned through teaching voice is that we're going to have our best day maybe once or three times a year. But all of the other times, what we're doing is pulling from a toolbox that I call tools of resiliency. What are the tools that give you the resiliency to bounce back in hard times, to get back to your center? And the more we practice them, the quicker we get back to our center, back to our hearts. And in that, what I noticed with my students was that they would start to improve so much more quickly because they were giving themselves permission to be imperfect, to have a bad day, to have a day where their voice just wasn't complying according to what their best day was. And I mean, the expression of that is mercy and compassion, of course. But to have mercy and compassion for ourselves when we're caught in the overwhelm, because then it assists us in getting back a lot more quickly. And so today I really want to offer all of this to you as possible tools of resiliency that you can use. I actually had a moment with my daughter. Um, it was like over New Year's Eve, I think, and she was having major anxiety, and she was out to dinner, and she was like with her partner, and she was, in her words, she was having a freak out moment. And I said to her, I was like, okay, just take a moment, breathe, and get into your heart. And she was like, Mom, I'm in the middle of this restaurant. I can't drop into my heart right now. I was like,
Yep.
okay, let's use a tool of resiliency and reword this. Because I think sometimes in our consciousness, in our spiritual lives, we think this means like we're going to sit down and lotus, cross our legs, close our eyes, And she's like, I can't do this in the middle of this restaurant. And I was like, okay, just take a moment to get quiet. Take a moment to just be in a state of listening and witnessing, which you can do in the middle of a restaurant incognito.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And I gave her leading questions. So if you have somebody in your life who's a really good ally for you, and you can come to them and say, I really need you to hold space because I can't figure out, like, I can't track what the overwhelm is. And so we just started listing. And so the first thing I said to her was, have you eaten today? Because if you haven't eaten, you can get overwhelmed. Your blood sugar can be a little crazy. And then I said, are you dressed in a way that makes you feel comfortable where you're at? Because that can be like a trigger when you're in your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, what were you doing right before you left here? So we kind of went through the basic list of things. And so that's another tool of resiliency. So after we ground, what I'm going to do is just kind of have you check in and see if there is overwhelm, if there are pieces let's see if we can track where they're coming from, because sometimes that awareness is enough. And that was enough for her. Once she got the awareness, all of a sudden she was able to drop into her heart in the middle of a restaurant and like walk herself through a recentering in the middle of this noisy restaurant on New Year's Eve. So I'm reminded that there's lots of ways that we can make these tools flexible so that you can support yourself and maybe support the people around you. All right. So is there anything else you
Beautiful.
want to say, Master,
Beautiful.
before we start? Okay.
Yeah, let's just call into our circle. So let's just come into our circle. Invite everyone into a circle and imagine us all sitting together side by side, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, knee to knee, coming together as one. A beloved to your left and a beloved to your right, and your heart facing toward the center. As our hearts join together at the hub of the wheel, and together we call on our source in the name of the one most merciful, ever compassionate. We call on you. We ask you to send your essence of your pure divine light. Just imagine that pure divine light streaming down into your heart. Use your breath. And as you inhale, draw this light into the core of your body, into your vertical core. And upright your spine, lengthen your spine, and align your spine and feel that light flow through your vertical core like electricity coming through the top of your head, through the very center of your body, halfway front to back and halfway side to side, moving through your head, through your throat, through your heart space, through your solar plexus, through your abdominal cavity, your sacral center and your base. And again, as you inhale, draw the light from around you in through your tissues, through your pores, into this vertical core. Exhale, drop down, land into your pelvic bowl, and lean into your spine. Bask in this light at your vertical core. Let yourself be in that vibration as that vibration moves through your center. And again, together, let's call on our source. We call on you. We ask you to send your essence of your unconditional love. And again, just feel this unconditional love. Imagine, perceive in whatever way you do as it comes right in front of you and moves all around you. And just turn your heart center toward this flow of unconditional love. Let your heart be a breathing portal. Breathe in through your heart center. And inhale this unconditional love all the way into the center of your heart. As you exhale, just release any of the clutter, any of the tension. As you inhale again, just let it come in and go deeper, a little bit deeper with each inhale. And like excavating, blowing out any of the clutter as you exhale. And as you inhale, just let it continue to go deeper all the way through your heart center until it meets that vertical core. And that love is flowing along your center. And again, upright your spine. Stand into that vertical core. Breathe all of your energy into that core. Resting in that vibration of pure divine light and unconditional love. And one more time, we call on our source together from our hearts. We call on you. We ask you to send your essence of your eternal compassion. You just feel, sense, perceive this eternal compassion completely surrounding you and holding you, enveloping you, supporting you, loving you, and allow yourself to be loved. Allow yourself to be held. Allow yourself to be completely and totally accepted as you are. And give all of the parts of yourself permission to be as they are here, to be held in pure eternal compassion, and to rest in the unconditional love and the pure divine light. And with that, I'll let Widad take us into her beautiful piece that she has for us.
Thank you. So I want everybody to just take a moment to notice your breath. Don't change your breath, but just notice, is it filling up in your chest? Is it filling up in your belly? Is it full? Is it tight? Just noticing it. And as you notice it, like even for me, I notice it, I take that big breath, like my body starts to respond. And I want you to imagine that we need to make some space so that the lower parts of your lungs, so the lower lobes, can fill up with breath. So you can breathe into your feet like a tree taking root. Or you could imagine that you have a tire that's wrapped around your waist, right around your belly button, and you have to fill that up with every breath. And as you try to fill it up, when you breathe out, just slow down your breath. And again, my tool of resiliency is to tell myself to breathe into my feet. But everybody's got a little different doorway for this. So breathe into the roots of that tree, fill up that tire, or if you can picture, you have a muscle right below your rib cage called the diaphragm muscle, and you have to push that muscle down. And with each breath out, I want you to let your mind drop into your center, the center of your chest, the center of your heart, the consciousness kernel that sits within you. So we're going to take that slow breath in, pushing the diaphragm muscle down, filling up that tire, breathing into your feet. And as you breathe out, breathe really slow. You're coming back to your center, back to that spark of light deep within you. And now I want you to be a witness, investigating what you're feeling in your body right now. I want you to listen. Are there any places that are holding or bracing? So check in to your hips. This can be a big one. And if you feel it bracing, just breathe into it, like you're sending oxygen right into those little spots in the hip. Let's work our way up. How is the solar plexus doing? This is right below that diaphragm muscle. Breathe into it. And just if you want to wiggle as you're breathing out to help all the places that are holding or bracing let go. Do you feel it in your arms, your shoulders, your neck, your jaw? Jaw is a big one. Taking that breath in. And if you can sigh, it's a really great way to release that tension. Kind of adds basic sound and starts to stimulate that vagus nerve to tell your body, let's ground, let's relax, let's come back to the universal safety that we're always plugged into, even if we don't see it. So checking in again, any places that are bracing, just like notice them, breathe into them, wiggle it out of your system if you can. And then also be a witness, an existential detective. I want you to feel the places that are sparking with light and joy. Where are the places within you that are feeling happiness, peace, maybe some excitement? Maybe you don't know why it's excited, but just let yourself feel like, is there a already inside you somewhere? Maybe in your heart center, maybe in your belly. Again, sighing as much as you can when you're breathing out. Now there's another sound we can make, which I don't know how this is going to come through with my microphone, so forgive me if this distorts the microphone. But I want you to pretend once you get that breath in, you're going to make sound, and you're going to pretend you're a child again, and you're in your favorite park, on your favorite swings, and your favorite person is pushing you on that swing, and they pushed you so high that in spite of yourself, the squeal comes out of you. So that could be a wee or that could be an ooh. So for me, I'm going to pull the microphone away a little bit. I'm going to breathe in and just go, whoo. Sometimes the more joyful sound is wee. So I might go, wee. And what you're thinking of is reaching to the highest note you can with the biggest breath that has reached way down into the earth. And you're just making sound. Yeah. Let it rip. Now, here's another tool of resiliency. You are not going to judge yourself. If your voice pops or it shakes or it whistles, perfect. Perfect, because it gets us one step closer to relieving that tension, to allowing more space. That's the thing you're going to start to feel as we move through the breath work. There's going to be more space, God willing. So let's do this one again. Let's breathe really low. When you get to the top, you're in the favorite swing and you're going as high as you can. Whee! That's it. And you might want to take another deep breath and just... And with this, feel the space that's open. Feel the space that's creating. Dropping deeper into your center. And now that we've created a little grounding through Mastura's guided journey and through our breath work and making some sound, now I want you to check in to your heart. And what this means is that even if our mind is overwhelmed, the center of your heart, so you can put your hand on your heart if you want, we're going to check in. How are you doing? What is there? Sometimes when I would do spiritual retreat, I would be so triggered and I would be so upset, and I would go to my check-in and my teacher would say, how's your heart? And I'd be like, oh, there's this and there's this and there's this. And then she'd say, and then how's your heart? And I remember like, what? What do you mean? And then I'd actually drop into my heart, and I could feel like, even though I was triggered, there was some deep, for me, a hum, like a song that was humming, and it was super chill. It was peaceful. Everything was cool. And I was just, what? Like, what do you mean? But sometimes in the center of our hearts, the next piece of conscious walking could be rising up. In my spiritual tradition, we call these pictures because they can be illusions, but they're often rooted in belief systems. And if you're overwhelmed or you're triggered, it could mean, in my experience as a healer, that one, there's a belief system coming up on the docket for you to deal with because it's time and you're ready. And allowing us to get so centered in our hearts can be the medicine alone. Using the breath to help us breathe into where that picture is rising up can be enough. The second thing I have found is actually a really positive thing. Sometimes we are triggered or overwhelmed because we need to make more space for receiving. And the creator, the source, is trying to bring us more love, more abundance, more guidance. And we're overwhelmed because we might not be ready for all of the goodness that's coming in. And the medicine is the same, to get into our hearts and create that space so that we can listen and let ourselves feel that we're absolutely 100% deserving and ready for all of the goodness that's coming, because the goodness wouldn't come if we weren't ready. And sometimes the flip side of the craziness that might be happening in our world around us is that the craziness can trigger us to open into this goodness. We might feel overwhelmed, but underneath the rocky waters and the choppy waters is a very stillness and a depth that reminds us that we were made for these times. The Creator gives no soul what it cannot bear. And so we use these tools to get to our center, to listen, and to be present long enough to feel the truth, to hear the truth, to sense the truth. I want you to honor what is in your heart right now. And we're just going to take a moment. And it's like 30 seconds for you to check in and really listen without my guidance or me talking. So dropping in, we're starting now. Okay, make a note of what's coming up from your heart, hopefully not your mind. If you want to write it down, you are welcome to do that if you have something in front of you. Sometimes the pieces that come up are going to require multiple points of healing. Sometimes something doesn't clear with just one thing, and we will circle back to things that need our attention. So let's use some really well-known breathing techniques to allow us to create some more space in our hearts. So whether what's opening for you is the space for a deeper receiving, or whether you're dealing with emotions coming up, anger, jealousy, sadness, grief, all of it will be the same, how we work with it. So the first thing we're going to do is a basic exercise where we breathe in for 5 counts. We're going to suspend that breath for 5 counts. And then when we breathe out, we're going to hiss. Right? So between your front teeth, hiss. And when you're breathing in for 5 counts, I want you to do your best to do your diaphragmatic breathing. So push the diaphragm muscle down, breathe into your feet, fill up that tire, or breathe into the roots of your tree, whatever tool of resiliency is working for you to get into that lower breath. the shorthand version of this is that when you breathe in, you don't want your shoulders to be lifting up. If it does, that's okay. Just do the best you can. For me, sometimes just putting a hand on my belly and just breathing into my hand can help, especially if I'm sitting. Standing is the best way to do these breathing exercises, but we're going to do whatever works for us today. So I want you to take an easy breath in and let it out. We're making room. Now we're going to breathe in for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suspend. 2, 3, 4, 5, and hiss until it's gone. And you feel that like at the final end of the hiss out. And when you get to the end, deep breath in. You're going to think of being breathed at the very end. Instead of you breathing, you're at the end of that hiss. There's no breath left and you're just letting go and everything's coming in. All right. Now, as I like to say in my vocal coaching practice, now that you have your sea legs under you, let's do that exercise again. So we're breathing in for 5, suspend for 5, and this time let's hiss for 10 counts. So all of your breath has to be gone and emptied by 10 counts. If you're finding like you're sitting and it's feeling a little tight, just stand up. Like make some space in that diaphragm muscle in your belly for that breath to go somewhere. If you don't want to stand, then just think of your posture as lengthening. Your shoulder blades pull together and then you drop your shoulders and you hold your chin like you are noble, because you are, my dear. We're going to breathe in to make space. Everybody take a breath in. Let it out. Breathing in for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suspend. 3, 4, 5, and hiss for 10. 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be breathed. Okay, good. You can do that exercise anytime you want. It will regulate your nervous system if you use this sneaky trick. So what you're going to, this is the best one to do when you're going to bed at night and you need to really kind of trick your nervous system to get down into the rest and digest. You're going to breathe in for 5, but we're going to hold it for 7, and then we're going to breathe out for 9. So we're toggling and changing those numbers, and you can choose any numbers you want for this, but 5, 7, and 9 to make it easy for us. You could be like 4, 6, 8 or 4, 6, 12, right? But you have to think about these numbers when you're doing it on your own. You're going to hear me count them, so it's going to be easier. But again, a tool of resiliency if you just need a quick way get back to your center. So let's take that easy breath in. We're doing 5, 7, 9 this time. So breathe in, let it out. Breathing into your belly for 5. 1, 4, 5. Suspend for 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Oh, I did 9. Breathe out. Hiss. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So just tuck that into your toolbox, into your tools of resiliency. Toggle those numbers. The hiss is going to strengthen your diaphragm muscles. So you might start to feel there's some circulation moving in your body, and we're just getting started, my dears. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little space in the chest and in the throat. When you first start to breathe into those lower lungs, I want you to check into your body. Do you feel a tightness in your throat? Do you feel a little tightness in your shoulders? Maybe a tightness in your chest, right? Sometimes this shows up because your body starts bracing. It doesn't want to deal with what's coming up, but sometimes you're using the wrong muscles. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen these up a little bit. So the first thing I want you to do is shrug your shoulders up to your ears. Take a breath in, and when you drop your shoulders, you're going to ha, right? So you're going to make a ha sound with kind of a sigh. So shrug your shoulders up, deep breath in, and then Shrug your shoulders up one more time. Deep breath in and good. Now you're going to roll your shoulders in a circle. So shoulder rollers. We have a new name for shoulder rolls. So what I tell my students, this one can be a little hard for some people if you never roll your shoulders. You're going to push your shoulders down, move them forward, up to your ears, back, back down. Forward, up to your ears, back, and then back down. Now we're going to reverse directions. So depending on how you started, you can reverse it or you can follow my flow with this. Push your shoulders down, pull your shoulder blades together so the shoulders go back, up to your ears, and then forward so you're making a little concave shape with your chest. And then roll those shoulders back into the front. Again, one more time. Good. And you can do these as many times as you want. My rule is 10 of each exercise. Now the next one we're going to do is basically chin to your chest. So it's kind of like you're looking down. And you'll go really gentle to check in on your body. See, is there tightness showing up in between your shoulder blades on your back or your neck? And then we're going to look up, but we're going to focus on sticking out our chin when we look up. So for me, with my students who are young, I tell them this is your turtle face. You pretend you're a turtle sticking your head out of the shell, and you're going to feel a stretch on the front of your throat. So if you lengthen your posture and you look up with that chin sticking out, you're going to feel it all the way down below your collarbone. Now look back down into, chin to your chest. Look up, stick out your chin, you're a turtle coming out of the shell. Good. One more time, chin to your chest. And then looking up. Good. Now we're going to shake some of this out. So we're going to shrug those shoulders up to our ears and ha again. We're going to go a little quicker. So shoulders up, drop them. Ha, 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 ha. You might notice this starts to move some lymph. So you might get some sinus drainage. You might get some phlegm or mucus moving from your throat. This is really good. So make sure if you're doing this on your own, have some water to keep that flow going. But yeah, you can do this as many times as you want. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to look to the right. And you're going to keep your shoulders level. You're not going to move your shoulders at all. So when you look to your right, you're going to feel a stretch on your left all the way into your shoulder. And then when you look to the left, same thing. Your shoulders are level, they're not moving. And you're going to feel that stretch into your right shoulder, hopefully. And again, going really slow. You're checking the weather here. Is there tightness in your body? Is there tightness in your shoulders? If you want to make this stretch go a little further for you, once you are looking to either direction, take the arm that is in the opposite direction, stretch it out to the side, pull it back a little bit while you're looking to the other direction. And now you're going to feel that stretch into your arm, into your shoulders, and all these muscles in our neck that go into our voice, they actually can constrict our breath a little bit. So we're just making more space, right? A good way to think of this one is kind of like when you wake up in the morning and you stretch your arms back, you got both of your arms back, and you're kind of looking to the right and left. When you wake up in the morning, you stretch. It's the same kind of thing. Now, having said that one, we're going to give a little stretch to the diaphragm muscle. So what I want you to do is get the most lengthened posture you can. What we envision with this is that your spine from your sacrum to your cranium is a straight line, and there's a string that runs through it, and that string is extending out the top of your head. So everything's lengthened, right? Now from here, you're going to dip your shoulders back and arch your back at the same time. So you're going to feel a little stretch in your tummy, hopefully. And if you need a little extra stretch, you're just going to kind of tip to your left or right. And then go to the other side. This is kind of like what you'd see somebody stand up in the morning, put their hands on their lower back and just kind of stretch side to side, right? And you can do that like morning stretch again. Your arms are out and you're doing this side to side. But now instead of focusing on the neck and shoulders, we're focusing on the muscles right around the rib cage. We're not going to do this one today, but if you lay on your belly and you put yourself up on your elbows, like you're lifting yourself up. In yoga, we call this cobra. And then go beyond your elbows onto your hands, and you can stretch these muscles this way as well. So this could be like the whole thing, start to finish, could be 10 minutes in the morning that grounds you, 10 minutes at night that grounds you and helps you get past the overwhelm. Okay, so now those are some really basic stretches. The next breath work I'm going to give you has a little bit to do with these stretches at the same time. So I'm going to break this down for those of you that are not watching the video. Hopefully you can see me because I have to, well, I'll just put one arm up. You're going to put your arms above your head and your palms are going to be spread. So your hand is open, fingers are spread, both hands are up in the air. In this moment, you're going to take a deep breath in. It's sometimes easier to breathe down into your diaphragmatic breathing when your arms are up. And you can breathe however you want. You can breathe in through your nose, you could breathe in through your mouth, you could breathe in through your mouth like you're breathing in through a straw. These are all tools people use to strengthen the lungs. And then once that breath comes in, when you breathe out, you're going to pull your arms down. So you're bending them down in front of you. So your arms stay bent and you're going to make fists. And on that moment, you're going to go, ha. So the arms are up, palms are spread, breath in. I pull that arm down and I go, ha. And we're going to do this and speed up as we do it. So I'm going to stand because this is going to be a little easier for me on the microphone to do that. So both arms are up. If you can see me on the video later on, both arms are up. Breathe in. And you're pulling that fist down. Breathe in. Now, we're going to take a little pause because sometimes you're going to get a little too much breath in. If you start to feel a little lightheaded or dizzy, you're going to stop. And what you're going to do is breathe out as long as you can. Slow down that breath out. Because you get lightheaded, it means you're hyperventilating. We just need to slow down that breath out and not get any more oxygen in. Eventually, this is a yoga move that we just did. You know, palms up, squeezing into a fist, breathing out. You can speed that up to ha, ha, ha. And you're going to get that movement in your arm with a nice lengthened posture. We're going to make a lot more room for our breath. Okay, so far we have the breath in for 5, hold for 5, breathe out for 10 with a hiss. We have all of our stretches. We have what I think of it as like the pump breath. So the palm is open, fist down, and we're just like ha, ha, ha. Now the next one we're going to do is really, really fast. You're going to breathe in and out of your nose. Now, this one is going to flood your body with oxygen. It's going to show you where you're holding all the tension. So be really careful with this one. If you start it and you start to feel woozy, again, stop and do that breath out for a long time. So if you're sitting or standing, here's what it sounds like if you can hear me. I'm breathing in and out my nose. If you're watching through the video, in and out my nose, and it just goes, right? So in and out really fast, and it's into your belly. So your belly is going to be pumping like it's a bellows. And then when you get done, nice long as you breathe out. So you're making a sound like a hum, jaws dropped. And this can be like a primal sound for you. We're going to grab onto any overwhelm, any frustration that's left over at the end of this, and you're going to let it out of your body with sound. So once we do the breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out with the nose, and you get to the breathing out, you might want to wiggle or shake your body. This is where I pull in a little bit of the experience I've had with somatic experiencing. If you're doing any of this work and you want to wiggle or you want to shake, follow that instinct, right? It's your body helping you release wherever that bracing is holding. Okay, so let's come back to our center. Before we dive into this one, we're going to check in. We've done a lot of exercises. Where is there space? How is your body feeling? Has the breath work cleared some of the things that were there at the beginning? Has the breath work so far opened up a little bit more space for you? And now, if there's anything left over, we're going to connect into this while we do this breath work. And then we're going to pull it out with that sound, shaking, popping, whistling, whatever you need to do with your body. And then we're going to drop in and just breathe very quietly and listen. And I will give us a minute after that where I will not be talking to you, and you can really check in and travel with this. Okay, so the breath in, breath out, come in and out as you need to. I'm going to do it for quite, I don't know how long, maybe a minute. If it's too much for you, drop out, right? Come in and out as you need to. All right, easy breath in. Let it out. We're making space. And the quick breath in and out, begin. Breathe out with sound whenever you're ready. Coming back to your heart, listen, check in. What kind of messages are coming in for you right now? And slowly coming back, bring with you what you're seeing, what you're sensing, feeling that you need to hear today. Now, when we do these breathwork exercises, one of the very first things I learned in my search for healing was breathwork. And the way that it was taught to me was that it's the only part of our organ system that is truly unseen. You can see our blood, you can see our alimentary system, but the breath, this thing that we need to survive, comes literally from the matrix of the cosmos. And it has such a beautiful way of connecting us back in. We also live in a fluctuating atmosphere where sometimes we have a lot of oxygen available and sometimes we don't. So when you're doing this, you've just flooded your body with a life-giving element that is gonna, just by the science of it, allow you to feel more clear and allow you to have guidance that's a little more available. So these are 3 basic breathwork exercises, some of the shoulder and stretch exercises. It's again, if something really stood out for you, put that in your box of tools that allow you the resiliency to bounce back quicker. Now, one last thing, we went through a lot of these and we just took this last moment to check into our hearts. I want you to listen with your whole body now, right? Be a receiver, like we're tuning in, like we're a radio tower, and we're tuning into the station of support, of love, of compassion, of a timeless force that you are made of. As we say in my tradition, you are a drop in the ocean, but the drop is also the ocean. So I want you to feel the deep love that is always around you and listen in for any last messages, any little love notes that are coming for you from the cosmos, from the one. And just listen in. Is there anything more that you need to receive? All right. I hope that all of you have received at least one or two new tools that can support you. I hope that a lot of really beautiful messages came in for you. I hope and I pray that we cleave to the truth within us and within each other and hold each other with love and support as we go through all of the moments of consciousness that is deeply awakening on this planet right now. And to remember to look underneath everything that's happening and to find those threads that are actually supportive of us, even if the outside looks a little crazy. I'm so grateful for all of you that came to share with me today. And I'll hand this over to Master, say anything else, and then leave it open for questions.
Thank you so much, Widad. That was amazing. And, you talked about putting these tools in your toolbox. This recording will be available. So make sure that you are on the list to receive the replays, or if you're not, set your reminder and check back on my blog at Community for Conscious Living. It usually takes me a few hours, but by the end of the day, very latest tomorrow morning, this will be up as a recording on the website and be on YouTube, be on the podcast. So bookmark this and use this again. I intend to use this again as a tool for myself to warm up my body. It was really powerful for me in so many ways. When I got insights and ahas, I shared with Widad at the beginning of this that I really needed this today. I mentioned that, I've got the book coming out and, you know, so many questions coming up. I'll be the first to share on this, but as we're opening up for our sharing moments. But one of the things that's been coming up, I share some deeply personal, uh, vulnerable parts of myself in the book, and also some things that are very sacred, just in terms of the way that we're created, and some things that are sacred um, uh, to be protected and to be preserved and to be cared for very deeply and intimately within ourselves. And so there's, the questions coming up. Is it okay to share this? Is it okay to share this? My spiritual name means hidden. Every birth chart, every human design chart, every reading I've ever had has told me that my nature is to be hidden. And so one of the questions that I took into this is it okay to expose such deeply intimate and sacred things, you know, personally and spiritually, when my name is hidden? Am I like going against the grain? And one of the things that I was revealed to me in this, as I said, especially at the end there in that place with that question, is that it is to be protected and revered as sacred. And when it is shared in that way, from that place of holding it as sacred and intimate and in deep respect and in reverence, then it's okay to share in that way. If there's an opening there to share in that way, because this is what can really help us to understand ourselves better and to have a deep respect for ourselves and forgiveness for ourselves and all of those things. And that is the intention there. So I feel resolved in that, with that questioning that was coming up. Not to mention that just physically in my body, it feels really good. It feels really good. So thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate you. And yeah, I love receiving. I love receiving your healings and your teachings and everything that you have to give. So if you are here with us today, if you have something that you want to share or questions that you want to ask or support that you'd like to receive, if you're on the phone, press *2. If you're on the webcast, type in and I'll read your questions to Wadad. If you're listening to the recording, you're invited to join us live on Sundays at 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. U.S. Pacific Time. You can find information for joining us live at communityforconsciousliving.com. communityforconsciousliving.com. If you sign up to receive the reminders and the replays, I send typically 2 emails a week. One is the reminder that we're starting in an hour. The other one is the replay that comes out a couple days later. And when you do, you receive 2 free gifts. One is a one-sheet download that is just the 10 spiritual principles, not just, but it is the 10 spiritual principles of our human existence to help us to remember what this world is about, what this earth journey is about, why we're here, what our path is, what's the purpose of this path that we're on, and who we truly are. The second one is a 15-minute downloadable guided meditation to help you to connect in with that pure divine light, unconditional love, and eternal compassion that is the truth of who and what you are at the core of your being. All right, with that, we're ending the recording, opening for Q&A. Thank you very much.